Yo, Longhairs, welcome to another episode of Let It Ride. Here we talk long hair and business, advocate for hair equality, and celebrate men's long manes with hair whips and high fives. If you're a guy with long hair, you're in the right place. I'm El Garvinsky, media producer for the Longhairs and the host for today's episode. Now, we have a guy who has lived a life that's as diverse as it is interesting. He's worked in advertising, television, and radio. He started his own record label, sold programming on TV, and now he's ridden a motorcycle around the island of Kauai. But what he really loves is putting words together. He's been putting thoughts and ideas together in his mind for years, and now he's sharing them with the world on his epic blog and podcast, Mind and the Motorcycle. Introducing the Zen Buddhist, the honorary Howley, the motorcycle rider, Larry Feinstein. Welcome to the show, Larry.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you. I was going to say thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be me.
It's a pleasure to have you be you right here on the show. We have a lot to go through. I mean, you've lived life since the 60s. You've seen it. I would say you've seen it all.
Well, it's really interesting to be older. Something I never imagined I'd be, and you never do when you're younger.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, and I really try and explain it to people far younger than myself, just to try and find common language. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy words, and I'm a Gemini, and supposedly we talk to ourselves, and we're writers. Anyway.
What was it like working in advertising in the 60s? Because you imagine now it's way laid back. But back in the day, we're talking about Mad Men days, and I would even call you one of the original Mad Men.
Well, no, today I am, but not.
Yeah,
Mad Man. Back when I started, I got out of college in '66, and got into the kind of the advertising world in like '67, '68. And unless I'm mistaken, Mad Men was a number of years before that, like earlier '60s.
Right.
Definitely. But a lot of similarities. It was just very interesting. I, walked on Madison Avenue, wore a suit, carried an attaché case, all of that stuff. What's so interesting today when you look at back then, that time, and how you conducted business, there was like no technology, like nothing. The biggest thing, by the way, when I left New York in like 86, 87, the fax machine, I swear to God, the fax machine meant, you mean you can send like a photograph through the telephone? It was mind-blowing, okay? Computers were these desktop things that were on the girls' desks. And back then, that was it. If I were really famous, this clip would get picked up and I would get dropped by all of my sponsors for calling women girls. Anyway. So it was a very interesting time, and you conducted business very much face-to-face. You had meetings, and in New York, if you were like 5 minutes late for a meeting, it was over. Anyway, it was a very interesting time in my life, and hair was always there. And it still is, but it's really, because obviously I was thinking about our meeting and our conversation, and obviously it has to have something to do with hair, and my chronology goes through the hair days, so it's, in the mid 60s it was starting. And believe it or not, I was actually a little bit too old for the 60s, if you could believe, because the 60s really hit hard in like 68. I was already out of school working at NBC doing my attaché case and all of that. And it really saddened me because I knew what was going on with my younger brothers and sisters. And hair was a thing.
Yeah.
And when I worked, generally with the suit and tie, your hair really wasn't supposed to be kind of like over your collar. So
man, dude, coming from the mecca of storytelling, advertising, and marketing, I think that really set the tone for the rest of your life. And with you mentioning the hair, that actually led me to my next question was, how did you manage to balance that love of long hair within the corporate world?
Well, quite honestly, for a while, it really wasn't much of a balancing act. You couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then things started to ease up a little bit. And, the hair my hair, it was like, okay, over the collar was okay.
Yeah.
You could like wear a sport jacket. I'm not kidding. Not like a suit. You could wear a sport jacket. And then on Fridays, holy shit. I think you told me I could say shit. You got off, not only did you get off early, but you could wear like a t-shirt and jeans. The suit world went crazy when that happened, and it's still a big deal. Anyhow, I had to get into the Army Reserve, right? Because it was right around Vietnam and all of that stuff. And what happened after a couple of years, I would go to meetings. I was letting my hair grow because it was getting to be cool now in the work world, but
yes.
not as military. This is great, man. So what I ended up doing with a bunch of other guys, my hair was kind of long. I got a wig. So I got a short hair wig. It kind of looked like one of the Three Stooges by the time I was done cutting it, right? And you can actually, you could see on top where all the fake hair came together, a little thing. And I would shave the back of my neck, put my hair up, and put the wig on.
Wow, you always hear the opposite, but man, that reverse ingenuity was great at the time.
Yeah,
what a great way to move.
Yeah. So, and then honestly, my hair was always the length of my hair was always a measure of the degree of independence I felt in the work world.
Yep.
And I got out of the kind of the traditional, but I was a little bit more on the fringe of the media world. Hair started getting longer, and and then I got pictures throughout my life of then I moved to New Mexico, and that's when the hair went long. I was wearing boots. I was a cowboy, had a truck. Anyway, endless hair.
Well, let's get into that. Let's get into that. I mean, moving to Santa Fe, tell us more about it, to be able to finally live the life you wanted. Stepping away from that fast paced, traffic moving, sales all day, and you come to New Mexico, the Southwest, and it's just, the pacing's different. People are a little more laid back. What was that like?
Well, it was a huge change. It was in 19. And I had been all around the country, but pretty much I lived in New York for over 40 years, and had a girlfriend a beautiful woman, and this is a Santa Fe story, and she was an actress, and she got a job in New Mexico with a repertory theater, so I had to go visit. I'd never been, so I went to see her, and it was Albuquerque. Always call it Albuquerque, an accident in the desert. It's not a cool. It's wonderful. Forget it. And as soon as I got to Santa Fe, where the play also moved to, I got out of the car with her, and all of a sudden, man, I felt like I was like Fred Astaire. I was gliding. I was a part of the rhythm of the place. It was really instant, and it stuck with me. In a couple of years after that experience, I went back out there, bought a house, and precipitously moved, drove cross country. It was, and determined never to have a conventional job again. And I did pretty well at that.
You have a book out, and it's called Halloween in Portland. Diary of a Mind. I mean, what inspired you to write that book? You know, was it your travels or?
Oh well. Oh, yeah, this is what dawned on me. I got to tell you this. It was right before
Drop
we went
it.
on.
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, you know, you have to get into the mood because it is a performance of some kind. And I'm thinking, you know, wouldn't it really be cool if you and I were both extremely famous, okay, and we were doing kind of an interview, and to me, it would involve the same degree of performance that at this point. You know what I mean? It would never matter to me if it was 1 million people or 3 people. The fact that we're doing this for other people means they deserve to have 100%, right?
Absolutely. And this is what we're talking about with heart. We got to do things with heart.
Yeah. So anyway, oh my God, the book. It's such a long story. Let me see. I was in my mid 60s, and I have a grandson. At the time, is very young.
Yeah.
And I'm not stupid, and I can count. And you know, and I'm figuring, you know, by the time he's really old enough to really want to talk to me, ask me any questions, and I'll be long gone. And I'm talking about 20 or 30, because I found, again, because of where I am chronologically, I think to myself, man, if I was like in my 40s or like even 50s, I would love to be able to talk to my parents, because I would have such a greater degree of understanding. And my grandparents, if I could, whoa, what a gift that would be. But time has a way, and they're not around. So I really decided, and it was purely an act of love, I wanted to write my story for my grandson. And I really labored over it, because I'm still not a writer. I write. If anybody said I'm a writer, I would say, no, I write. Don't give me pressure. I had a big issue with my voice. You know, if you're going to write it, and it wouldn't even, or if you're going to sing, or what is it? What is that? You know, what's that voice going to be? And it's another hugely long story. It's in the book. But I came to the understanding that my style, my voice, was something I call Zen Gonzo. I thought I made it up, but I guess I didn't. I might as well have, though. I have somewhat of a Zen practice. I call myself, I'm Buddha's bad boy. I am a terrible practitioner. And Hunter S. Thompson. A lot of young people won't know who he is. He was a writer for Rolling Stone, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He was a wild man.
Oh yeah,
incredible character. Whether he was writing fiction or nonfiction, he was always the center of the story. It was phenomenal. So I figured that was really it. I want that sensibility of the Buddha with that wild spontaneity of Hunter Thompson, and it's how I am. So that's my voice. That's how I decided to write my story to him. So if I was writing about, a job I had, and all of a sudden Ella Fitzgerald came on, because I always have music on, I'd stop. I would try and explain who Ella Fitzgerald was.
Yep.
Anyway, so that was my book, and I spent 1.5 years writing it, not like sitting in a cell, a couple hours a day, because as soon as I felt I was forcing as soon as I got to that pause, I stopped. So it was just fresh. And I fell in love with the whole idea of writing. And I couldn't stop. So I did finish the book.
Yeah.
And then I started. I had no idea what this stuff was. I got a blog. A blog. What an awful name! It's like, how do you feel? I got blog, and
it's barfing out ideas here.
But I started writing.
Yeah.
Very spur of the moment, and it was about 8, 9 years. I got like around 400 stories, and some of them are really good. It's Mind and the Motorcycle. Boom. And then the one last piece of self-aggrandizement. It seemed that performance was a natural extension of my writing. And I now I have had for 3 years, I have a weekly news podcast. And if you just go Mind in the Motorcycle, you'll end up finding it anyway. It's a very interesting take on the news. So,
wow. So this idea of traveling and in taking the inspiration from a Hunter S. Thompson,
an incredible character, out of his mind.
Yes,
but colorful and brilliant. Oh my God!
Name some of the challenges and the rewards to stay consistent with something like this.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I've always had an internal dialogue. So I'm always in conversation with myself. I don't know if that is how I've often wondered, it'd be interesting to talk to people. What do you do? What do you think about? And I'm writing in my mind, and not but I'm telling stories to myself in my mind.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a natural outgrowth, flowing inside out. And I don't know. If you're honest, you've always got shit you can talk about.
Give it to me. Give it to us here.
No, you know what I mean. No, it's not like you make it up. It's like my gosh, our lives are they're ones of constant change.
Yes.
Beyond changing so fast that you would get a headache if you really started to think about it. So I don't know. Each moment each moment can be incredible. And I don't mean to sound, like I don't be like a televangelist, and if you really want to feel the spirit, send your, now you wouldn't even send your money. It'd be like Venmo too.
When we're talking about, I want to go back real quick on the advertising. This is just for me, because I got to know for myself. Coming from the 60s, you guys were dealing face-to-face, straight peer relationships, right? And here, a lot of times, everyone's on the phone. If you were to step into the advertising world, if you were interested today in 2023, what would you say would be like the golden rule or the golden set of ideals that would carry you through in advertising, no matter what period it is?
Wow. The things that have, and it doesn't matter what the field is, the things that have always worked, they have always worked for a reason. There's nothing more effective than face-to-face. There's nothing, more effective than storytelling. I would never lose sight of old school. The idea that you've got to be unique in what it is that you do.
Yeah.
So I look at it now. I wouldn't want to have a damn thing to do with it. And I'm not a fan because we're losing human touch. And I'm not the first person to say that. And actually, one of the most unbelievable things that goes along with that, we are completely disconnected from nature.
That's huge.
Okay, so if everybody once, a couple of times a week, could actually take a walk in the woods, quiet, and sit for a while by a stream, I think life would be very different. But we're so far removed from that. We're terribly mechanized.
Yep.
And we're losing soul. And it's very dangerous. And I don't envy much younger people, like my grandson, who's now 14. And I've told him, there's only one thing you got to be looking for, baby: joy. You look for joy in your life, because it's going to get pretty messy all around you. Like it is now, but, far more severe. So where do you find you've got to find happiness, man. or there's no reason to be breathing.
Would you say that's the reason why you're in Hawaii? You found your happiness out in Hawaii? Nature?
It's when the big incredible move, and for so many reasons, was that move from New York to Santa Fe. I really got to be out. I'm talking like the Southwest. The Southwest is some of the most spectacular country in the universe. It is phenomenal. The earth colors and you have mesas, and it's otherworldly. Oh, yeah. It is so beautiful. And sky, that's where I really kind of like, oh, all right, I got this. I mean, I went camping for the first time in my life. I was like 43 years old. Never camped before. Oh my God. I mean, you were out in a place, there is nobody for miles. You don't see anybody. I mean, that was like, whoa, there's nobody here. Holy shit. And then I really think that the call to this place was very spiritual. And obviously the beauty was, is a part of it, because I'll tell you, man, you can look around some places on this island and it's like, I don't know, it's some of the most beautiful scenery you have ever seen in your life. But to me, even more importantly, this place is powerful. I'm very respectful. I got it. And it's been very good to me because I've been respectful. This place has treated me like a king, man. I'm very grateful.
Speaking of respectful, it seems that you respected your hair all of these years, kept it safe, undercover, and moving it to different places, letting it flow, letting it ride. What are some of the annoyances that you come across with having long hair, or are you just fully embraced, fully immersed with just loving it?
No, let me tell you something. Long hair is a pain in the ass. All right. I'm talking like pain in the ass. And I'm not sure what I've had. My hair has never been, it's never been this long before. And I started talking to the young women in a brewery, in a microbrewery called Kauai Beer Company, and it's all young people. So I started talking to the girls once again about long hair. I had no idea it was such a pain in the ass. I said, "Gee, how do you never complain?" I've never heard a woman complain about long hair. It gets in your teeth. It's everywhere. It's on the floor. It's all over the place. So I've also kept a sense of humor about it. I don't need very many compliments. You don't have to throw me too many bones. And it's like, then I know how to like Paul. So Larry, your hair looks really good long. Larry, that's it, done. So I'm committed. But I work it, man. I'm very nice to it. I just took a recent trip to the East Coast, and it was a bit annoying with the hair on the plane. I have to keep putting the rubber band in, and I told my hair cutter that I think I'm going to cut my hair off. She got very upset. And then I told her I changed my mind. I'm keeping the hair, or I wouldn't be here. You know what I mean?
We want you to do that.
No, I know. So that's a conversation for another time.
Is there any other place that our guys can find you at besides your website? Do you have an Instagram or some type of social media account?
Oh, I got it on Facebook. I'm a Facebook person. If I didn't write, I don't know if I have any kind of presence. So the only reason why I have Facebook and I have and all of that it's just for my writing. Okay. So I don't have a photograph of me, bending over and do something ridiculous. It's I don't use the social media, that way.
Yeah.
But boy, do I appreciate its power. Anyhow, I'm really easy to find. Mind and the motorcycle will get you there.
Awesome. Well, Larry, really appreciate you coming on with us. Took a few backflips and cartwheels, but we made it work.
I will tell you what, man, it worked out really well because, we had some initial conversations. I'm perfectly at home doing this. You've been great. It's really been a treat, connecting with you.
Likewise, it's been a pleasure. Don't forget to head over to the greatcut.us to find out how you can get involved in our world record breaking event next March. Link will be in the description below.
Oh, look, though, when I have you can't see it. I'm representing, you know what I'm saying?
That's the way to do it. That's how we broadcast it out, is when you see our hair ties on other guys. That's a natural marketing, man.
Anyhow, hey, man, wonderful. I really enjoyed it.
A blast having you on here. And don't forget, guys, remember to head over to thegreatcut.us. Find out how you can get involved in our world record hair donation event next March. Link will be in the description below. Well, until next time, keep letting it ride.